me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
If you try it and it doesn't succeed, it doesn't mean you failed. You've tried it, just move on. It's like throwing spaghetti to the wall. If it sticks, great. If not, move on. And that's kind of been my motto throughout programming. If you don't know what you don't know, right? If they try something like for Southern Pines, for example, because it was such a transient area, try it this year or try it this program guide cycle. If it doesn't work, try it again next year.
Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Today, we're diving into the vibrant world of parks and recreation through Cindi King, a dynamic leader who has shaped communities in North Carolina. Cindi's journey in Parks and Rec began as a pool rat in Bristol, Tennessee, and her extensive experience includes nearly 17 years in Cary, North Carolina, 3 years as director in Southern Pines, and her current role in Morrisville, North Carolina. She also held her first North Carolina job in Renwick Rapids. This path led her to oversee aquatics and ultimately become the president-elect of the North Carolina Recreation and Park Association. We'll explore how her departments have crafted engaging programs, from STEM camps and LEGO workshops to unique events like the Mother-Daughter Tea. We'll also discuss how she increased programming by 300% in Southern Pines by actively seeking instructors and enhancing marketing, the importance of community partnerships, and how her teams cater to diverse needs, including specialized recreation groups. Join us as Cindi shares her passion for providing quality experiences and making a real difference in the community.
Okay, we are live again. This is Craig LeBlanc, the doorman with the Daily Parks and Rec Show, Leaders in Parks and Rec. I have a special guest from North Carolina, Morrisville, which is right outside of Raleigh. Am I correct with that?
Raleigh, yep.
Raleigh. Okay.
Yep.
So how do you say it?
Raleigh.
Raleigh.
Yeah,
Okay. I've
Raleigh.
been saying Riley my entire life. Raleigh. So Cindi King is from, now where are you from originally? Have you always been in Morrisville?
I haven't. I was born and raised in Bristol, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So, but done some professional work. Most of my tenure was just next door in Cary, North Carolina. I was there for almost 17 years. And then I went to where I live now, Wake Forest. And then I was the director in Southern Pines for about 3 years. And that was a trek. I was about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive every day. So, and now I'm in Morrisville.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, tell us back, how did you get into Parks and Rec? How did you kind of discover that? Were you a park rat or you just kind of fell into the industry? Which road did you take?
I was a pool rat.
Pool rat. There we go. A wet rat.
Yep. So I grew up going to the local swimming pool. We had a private pool that I went to pretty often. And then when I was of age to get to get a job, I went to the city pool and looked at the Parks and Recreation director and told him that I wanted his job one day.
Oh,
and
fantastic. I love it.
So I was probably 15 or 16 when I got my first. I was a cashier. And by the end of the summer, I was a lifeguard. The next summer, I was a pool manager. And then when I did that for a few years, went off to college, was a physical education, parks, recreation, dance major, shifted to exercise science before I graduated. And but during my undergrad, I was in intramural campus recreation sports. I worked in the department as well as played all the different sports. Went on to graduate school, campus recreation, thought I was going to go into campus recreation, intramural sports, and did briefly. I was a student activities director for a short time in South Carolina, and still involved in the recreation intramural aspects of it. To me, it's all the same. It's just, intra, more so than the public. And then my husband ended up getting a job in North Carolina. So we came back. He's from North Carolina. So we knew we wanted to get closer to family. And probably, I don't know, probably about 6, 8 months after that, I got my first North Carolina municipality job as an aquatics director. So I went back to the pool and did the lifeguard, oversaw the lifeguards, and that started my stint in the North Carolina government, and have been in it. I exited for about 2 years, went to the private sector, opened up a dive company with a gentleman that ran a dive company. We opened up a
And what's
pool.
that? Are you talking about like a scuba dive?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And I was the one who kept their head above the water in that entity. So I handled all the swimming lessons. We did fitness classes. So literally I kept my head above the water. Everybody else was doing the dive stuff. I didn't care anything about it. And then went to Cary for, like I said, about 17 years and progressed in different jobs there. So, but yeah, I started off as a pool rat, and I knew, that was loved sports, loved the whole entity of parks and recreation. My dad was an avid hunter, so we were out in the woods a lot, not necessarily visiting parks. I mean, I grew up in the, Eastern Tennessee, so we went to the Great Smoky Mountains a lot. So national parks more so than just public parks. But yeah, so just my love for just the field grew exponentially as very young.
Right. Yeah. So you really, now what was the youngest you remember being? Did you go like after school care or anything like that?
No, I grew up on a farm. So,
Okay. I love it.
So
That's
natural recreation.
right. That's the best part. You grew up in a park.
Yeah, I did. It's funny because I was just telling somebody the other day. I mean, I saw something on Facebook where somebody has a farm and they're charging for people to come and look at their cows, to interact with their cows.
Right.
Yes.
Cow
I'm
therapy.
like, yes. I said, you've got to be kidding me. I said, all I did as a youngin' was go and try to find cow manure and squish my toes in it and then find the creek and clean them off and then run from the bulls.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So yeah, we growing up in the country, we made our own playground. We were in the woods first thing in the morning on our bikes, 3-4 miles away from the house, playing kick the can in the streets, playing, catching lightning bugs. I mean, making pictures with clouds. We did our own recreation. It was rural Tennessee, and there wasn't a lot of, honestly, I don't even know. We didn't have it before and after school. So we did our own thing. My mom worked for the most part. My dad worked. I stayed with babysitters, but even then, I mean, we were all over the place, just making our own recreation. And I think that has really, that really guided me in several, decision making and, doing all kinds of stuff. So,
yeah. Now, I wrote during our show prep call that your passion for programming, can you kind of describe for people that maybe aren't as familiar with the industry, what is programming to someone with zero experience with that?
So in my, and I forget the description that I gave you, but in my eyes, programming, I mean, we work so others can have fun. So we're providing those different outlets of activities, events, programs, classes, etc., so other people can enjoy. So, starting with aquatics, the swim lessons, the fitness classes, those are those programs that we're building, whether it's to, mentally engage you, physically engage you, just recreationally engage you. That's what I think recreation and Parks and Recreation is all about. Athletics as well. I think back in the day, Parks and Recreation, the foundation was the playgrounds, the parks, and athletics. And we have morphed into, we're doing education, we're doing cooking, we're doing martial arts. So we're doing a menagerie of different programs to try to fit. I think we offer something for everyone, and
Right.
I think most parks and recreation departments do offer something for everyone.
So when did that change happen from, I guess, senior care or senior programming? That's been around for a
Hmm.
while, correct?
Yeah.
Around
Oh,
the same
yeah.
time as sports. So
Yeah.
when you think of sports, you're like, you know, baseball or volleyball or basketball. That's been around for
Mhm.
a long time. When did this education, cooking, martial arts, was this like in the 90s or trying to
You
remember?
know, um, I'm not really sure. I think it depends. It depends on the area that you're in. So,
Mhm.
like when I was in my first job in North Carolina, was in Roanoke Rapids, and while we had a community center, we didn't have a kitchen, so we were doing your basic, you know, the athletics, your summer day camps, all the aquatics because we had the outdoor pool. I don't even know if we did volleyball outside. We may have done some inside. So I think, nationally, it just depends. It depends on what your what your resources are. So when I got to, so my next job was next door in Cary. My facility had two multi-purpose rooms, a full-size kitchen, a huge gym.
Right.
So those resources offered me the opportunities to program in
Yeah.
different capacities. Finding instructors is the hard thing.
Mm.
Um, that's the kill to everything. But as far as the change, I don't know. I don't know that I could
Yeah.
pinpoint that just because I think it depends on, you know, how the facilities are built and what you have resources to.
Now, do y'all partner with any type of either for-profit or nonprofit entities that maybe they just don't have facilities, say for a karate class, but maybe they can come teach once a week in your facilities and maybe y'all can split the revenue. Do you see anything like that happening in the industry, these different partnerships?
Absolutely. We do a lot. We just call it contracted instructors,
Mhm.
and we're doing a lot this summer. STEM is the big science, technology, math. All that is a huge um, talk right now. We're doing some half day camps with some contracted instructors. RoboThink, gear shifters. There's another one. I forget the name of it.
What's RoboThink? Is that I won't even guess. What is it?
It's STEM. They're building little robots.
Oh, okay.
It's literally building and programming these little robots and cars, and it's just getting a different type of recreation. All the kids don't like to play sports. So we're trying to think outside the box and bring in some of these other entities that we have space for. And a lot of times, this particular group specifically, RoboThink, they don't have a storefront or they don't have a space. So like you said, we just contract out with them. I used to work with I can't think of the name of them now. Oh, Playwell Technologies.
Mhm.
Playwell Technologies is a Lego company, basically, where they use Legos to build and do all kinds of stuff. They've been around for a long time. So just different
What's it
entities
called?
like that.
Playwell
Playwell,
Technology?
yep, Playwell Technologies, yep.
Is that a local, regional, national?
I want to say I know they're at least regional. I don't know if
Mhm.
they're national or not.
So tell me more about what they do.
Um, their focus is Legos. So they bring in these huge like kits with Legos, and the way I programmed it when I was in Cary, they'll have different themes for we did half day camp, so like a 9 to 1 or 9 to 12, 1 to 4 type program. And depending on the theme, the kids would build these different type of
Mm.
Lego masterpieces. And some of them would have like little motors where they would race, and they would do like I would walk in the room and there'd be these big huge things set up, and they would have things going through the air, transferring from one side of the room to the other. So
I
just using
love
their
it.
imagination, yeah, just using their imagination,
Mhm.
getting back to the foundation of recreation, the imagination part. Yeah, it was great. Our programs were always sold out.
Yes. Then the reason I was a former Lego maniac, I was a 3 to 4 hour a day. My mom, there were times where my mom would have to discipline me because she would go to wake me up for the bus, and I never went to bed. I was through there to pull an all-nighter, and this was
So
like when I was,
you can definitely
yeah,
appreciate those camps.
I was like, wait, you mean there's a camp for this? Sign me up.
Yeah.
Uh, that's fantastic. Yeah, and so, God, there's so many new things now, especially I'm thinking like yoga and run clubs and so many things that get, now what do y'all do about the pop-up events that you can't really program but are still using y'all's facilities, parking? And the reason I'm saying this is because I was in New Orleans, or I just kind of still am in New Orleans, and we had a little thing called the Boring Run Club, and we would meet on Saturdays, and it wasn't a big deal until it went from like 30 to 60 to 200 to 700 people showing up on a Saturday. And then they're like, okay, we need to like put a little structure around this. And I know that happens a lot now on park systems where they're just totally unannounced. Here's 500 people just showing up and clogging up the place. How do y'all handle that?
I don't see it as much here as I did in Cary and Southern Pines. I'm sure it happens here. We've got a big cricket pitch, which is a great park just down the road here. And I'm sure it's happening. We're just not visualizing it just yet.
Right.
It's a sticky area. It's a very fine line. Having conversation as the director, when I was in Southern Pines, I would just go and have conversations with the person who try to find the person who was in charge of it, and then talk to them about, okay, we can help you. Let's team up. Let's get some contracted work. 9 times out of 10, they would go somewhere else because they were probably charging and making a profit off of our facilities that we're upkeeping and things. It's a fine line. As a matter of fact, I just saw something. There's a Women in Parks and Recreation Facebook page. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Lakita started that one, I think, correct?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
She did. So
Is she still
great.
involved? Or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Most definitely. Yeah. There was a question not too long ago on how people are handling those type of entities coming in, and like I said, it's a fine line. And I think establishing those relationships with trying to find the founder of the groups that are holding them is the best foundation. It's going to happen because they're public parks, so it's just a matter of managing, and they know when the downtime is, when we're not using those parks, so they're savvy.
Yeah. When I went to Atlanta and I was talking to some directors just about how I was going to build this show and what they thought about it and what topics, I met several of them from like the southern part, like west of Texas, like Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California. And they mentioned this because a lot of their Latino cultures on Sunday, their soccer fields are just full of Latinos just playing soccer as families, like all age groups. And then they come out with their chairs and they have their music and they have like food trucks show up and they don't care at all whether the field's striped, whether they'll bring their own everything. And so they were like, we love it because we want park usage. And, and they're the least demanding park users in our entire network.
Yeah.
And the only thing we ask is that they pick up the trash, and they're very neat. They'll bring their own goals. But that was just one of them that, how do we cater to this population that's in our community that doesn't organize their soccer events or sports or anything like that?
Yeah.
Anything else to be said around that?
Ultimate Disc is done that way here. Ultimate Disc, they'll just go out and grab a field just down the street here. And, again, we've tried to go out and talk to those group leaders and say, hey, we can get you all some field time. The other thing is liability too. We have to, as municipal government, we have to think about that. So we try to do the right thing.
Right. Okay. All right. So if someone wants to get into programming, What are the first steps? How do they just, I know a lot of this can just be volunteering as a high schooler. You can get, several years of, or not even volunteering. It could be your first job as a high schooler and get some programming experience. But what are kind of some first steps for that?
Well, like you said, volunteering. I ran a organization called the Carey Teen Council for about 10 years, and I had about 800 to 1,000 teen volunteers from middle school to high school. And in that particular group, they would help program different events that were hosted by the Carey Teen Council. So that was a good segue for those who wanted to get into Parks and Recreation. The next thing is just, getting involved with for me, I started off as a lifeguard, and, I've programmed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of programs since my lifeguarding days, but that was just a love that I saw. Around here, we have majors that are Parks and Recreation. Like you said, volunteering at special events, understanding, how things work, and, just the logistics of events just in general. So I think there's plenty of different ways to get your foot into the recreation door by just volunteering. So you said it firsthand, right. Volunteering.
Now, do y'all have, and do you know of anyone in North Carolina or otherwise that has an internship program for college kids or high school kids that they're just on their second, third year proud of, their internship program? Anybody in your network?
There's a lot of intern programs around here. Matter of fact, we just opened one up, or will be opening one up for the fall for our athletics. Southern Pines had a great one. We enhanced that one. We had both recreation intern and athletics intern that we filled both summers. But a lot of the because like East Carolina University, I believe they require an intern. So we try to help, those kids that are coming, those students that are coming out of the field, going into their senior year. We try to help facilitate meeting those demands for different college interns. So
and they just spend a semester with you during either?
Well, ours spent the summer with us.
Okay.
The one that we're looking at we just started, we're getting ready to start an intern program just across the town, is getting ready to start here, and we missed the summer outlet. But my athletics programmer, or my athletics manager, said he wanted to do one in the fall, because you might have somebody that wants to graduate, in December, but just needs their intern. So he's gonna see what he can do, and they may just have one class, so they can still work for us and get some of those hours out of the way.
Right.
But yeah, that leads to. I know the one that we had in Southern Pines. It was just the amount of experience that they received across the different divisions, from athletics to special events, seniors, programming, recreation, it was across the board. So we gave them a taste of everything.
Yeah. Well, and the reason is because one of the areas of Parks and Rec that I was encouraged to create content and create a community for was the young professionals. And we've divided that into 5 buckets. So bucket number 1 is high schoolers, 17, 18-year-olds that have not decided where they want to do with their life, consider Parks and Recreation. And there are some internship programs that's the age group they target, is high school, 17, 18-year-olds. That's group number 1. Group number 2 is the college kids, like at East Carolina University. They're looking for, they need to get credit hours for their degree. Number 3 is all the professors, mentors, people like yourself that just want to help the young professionals. And then number 4 is people with young professionals within their first 1 to 5 years of working. So they're very new to the industry. And then our 5th and hardest to find group is departments with a strong internship program that want to come on the show and talk about it. So we're desperately looking for, and we've actually found about 4 that are, they're very, very good. they're on the third or fourth year of it. But if you know of anyone that has a good internship program and maybe even an intern, they'd like to come on the show with the every Friday is the YPN show. So Friday, 12
Okay.
noon, 52 shows a year, just on the whole young professionals equation as we try to lift this industry out of the discovery major category. That's kind of our objective there. Okay, so great special event called Created the Mother-Daughter Tea. Tell us about that.
So, yeah, I don't have girls, so anything girl related tickles my fancy. So I had seen people doing these mother-daughter teas, across our areas. So I asked one of my programmers, I was like, "Hey, want to do a mother-daughter tea?" She's like, "Sure." I've never done one. I said, "Yeah, me neither." So kind of fed her a little bit of the information. We establish a program plan where it kind of gets you the basics, like gives you your description, puts the date in there, kind of helps you facilitate your cost. So I helped her with that a little bit, and we held it sometime, I think it was in April, or I can't remember. No, it was right before Mother's Day. And we had 12 participants, which our minimum was 12. And I was very excited. I think this is one that's going to grow, as this first time we've done it. So I know it's going to grow, in the next few years. But it was just a nice little getaway for a mom and daughter to come. And I think the ages were 3 to 10, something like that. Average age was probably 4 or 5 year olds. But served tea, served some bougie little, sandwiches and macaroons. And we played a game of bingo that had to do with mother-daughter type stuff. Gave cute little mask type
Love it.
prizes. Yeah. So the girls had a great time. They all came in their little flower dresses. Some of them have the little fascinator hats on. They were adorbs. I mean, just adorable.
Yeah.
And so excited.
Right. So this is the mother-daughter tea, and it just has a great example of what you can do with programming. I mean, you've got these facilities. What does the community want? And this was now, what was the attendance like on this particular event?
We only had 12 participants, so 6 moms and 6 girls, and that was our minimum. But our max was like 20. So we wanted to keep it quaint. We didn't want it to be huge. But that event, it was funny because one of the moms came up to me and she said, my daughter saw this event on your all's TV screen. We have a TV screen in the lobby. And she said she would not leave until it came on again. And I think her brother played basketball or something in our facility. And she's like, "Mom, I want to go to that." And she's like, she would not stop talking about it. So I was like, good for her, So I see this event. We're not going to make it huge because it is an intimate event. Right. But just doing something different like that the moms may not have, had time with their daughters, Right. So just something different.
I love it. And so for those of you who don't know, we can talk about this. Well, we need to talk about this in the show, but Cindi King is the president-elect, right, of your state organization?
Yeah.
And that's, what is that, North Carolina, what's it called? NCRPA. Yeah. And so before we get into that though, are there any other creative ideas that you've seen for programming that you can maybe give the community aside from the regular program? Any ones that you've stumbled across similar to this mother-daughter?
Yeah, I think doing stuff with the inclusive groups. I did a monster mash for specialized recreation when I was in Cary that took off. We had, I don't know how many kids we had at that one, adults as well. So again, just trying to figure out something for everyone. You don't want to leave out those special needs, the special pops.
Yeah, just on
Those
that,
are,
my daughter just recently had one of my grandchildren is Down syndrome, and she's in the Dallas area, and they have events just for Down syndrome, all ages. And
yes.
she's constantly feeling like I must be the only person with a Down syndrome kid. I mean, she has like internet connections, but when she went there, it was like I found my people.
Exactly, exactly.
Right.
I mean, they had a black, I mean, we had a very strong specialized recreation program in Cary, so we were doing a lot in that capacity.
Yeah.
Um, gosh, I have programmed so much. It's just over the years. It's from STEM to just cooking to I've had successes and I've had not so great successes as well. We're stemming out with different programming. We're trying to find out in one of the community centers here in Morrisville what's going to work for our population. They really only focused in on before school, after school, and did you do I?
Oh yeah. No, I'm here. I got it.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. um, they've only focused on before school, after school, and summer day camp. So we're stemming out just to see what the mother-daughter tea was actually at this facility. So
Right.
we're trying to get the feel of what those people in that area want. So yeah, I've programmed so many different outlets. I can't pinpoint one that I think's just fantastic. I did enjoy the mother-daughter tea because I hadn't programmed in a while, so that was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Okay. So, um, let's see. And then the last thing, just on programming, your last city, talk about that increase from, y'all said y'all went up by 300%, but maybe let's talk about what it looked like before. And
Yep.
then, what was that process like? And then what is the kind of final result that you're proud of today?
So that was a town that was highly focused on athletics, which was great. Great athletics program. We had a after school program, and then we had the summer day camp. So when I came on board, about 2 weeks before I became the director, I lost my recreation program person. So my program
Mm.
specialist went to be a stay-at-home mom. And so I hired a new girl. Her background was in the Y setting, so had a very strong camp programming side of things on that side. So basically, what we did is anytime Southern Pines was a transient area. It was, excuse me, it was near Fort Bragg, Fort Liberty now, I think it is. So a lot of people coming in, going out because of the military. So as instructors came to us, we did several social media posts on, hey, we need instructors. What's out there? Who can teach? Do you have a specialty? Do you have a niche that you want to do, that you want to teach? And we got a lot of our instructors in that capacity. They would just kind of email Megan or myself and say, hey, I have this idea. And so from there, I mean, you threw her a bone and she ran with it. So I have to give hats to her for just taking and trying. And I always told them and still tell the programmers, if you try it and it doesn't, if people don't migrate to it or it doesn't succeed, it doesn't mean you failed. You've tried it, just move on. It's like throwing spaghetti to the wall. If it sticks, great. If not, move on. And that's kind of been my motto throughout programming. If you don't know what you don't know, right? That's the adage with programming. And I also tell them that if they try something like for Southern Pines, for example, because it was such a transient area, try it this year or try it this program guide cycle. If it doesn't work, try it again next year, because you might have a new group in there. Oh, this is great. Like we had a charcuterie board making program that
Oh,
we
I
had.
love that.
Yeah, we had a few people that I think she had to cancel it the first time. I'm like, don't worry about it. I said, do it around a holiday. She did it around a holiday, and boom, we had 10 or 15 participants in the space that we were providing. And so it was just a matter of just getting out there and trying things, and that resulted in that huge increase. And I had people say, oh my gosh, I didn't even know y'all were here. And I also contribute to that to the way that we did our marketing. We really enhanced our marketing when I got there. We were only putting stuff on Facebook like once every few weeks. And so
Mm.
we came up with a plan with myself, our athletics person, program specialist, the seniors person, and the events person was the same person. But we came up with a system on the marketing side of things. And then I had people, that I got to know in my 3 years there, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you all offer so much." I mean, we were only a town of 15,000.
Right.
So, getting the word out, it wasn't easy, but if they were following us, they saw what we were doing.
Yeah.
So, it was just a matter of finding the right people to teach our programs, and they're still going strong to this day. And
Mhm.
I still follow them on Facebook, and they're still adding new stuff. And,
Mhm.
just having that foundation of knowing how to do it, just take off, just try
Right.
it. That's the message. Just try it.
As a lifetime entrepreneur, my mentor would always tell me the best entrepreneurial advice is start.
Yep,
Just start. There's only so
exactly.
much you can learn beforehand.
Yep,
Um, so I know in special events, it's the framework is you got to give it 3 to 5 years to get traction on special events. And so it sounds like what you're saying is same thing with programming. It just takes time for the community to even to know that there's a charcuterie board class, and you might
yes,
just be doing it at the wrong time. And so don't just throw one, it doesn't do well, and then cancel it. Give it some nourishment, give it some
yep,
time.
exactly
Okay.
right.
I'm going to play a little commercial that we have for our newest show on Thursday, and it's called Youth Sports Mastery. I think we're on our 5th week, and I have co-host Aaron Locks on there as well. And then we'll come back and talk a little bit about that, and then I want to talk all about the NCRPA and your role in that, and that a
Okay.
whole chaotic fun thing. All right, hold on one second. Okay, here it is.
At DPRS Media Co., we don't just create content, we elevate community through storytelling. Now, we're proud to introduce the newest addition to the family. Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the podcast where champions are shaped, not just on the field, but in life. Hosted by the doorman himself, Craig LeBlanc, and National Academy of Athletics founder Aaron Locks. Youth Sports Mastery dives deep into how youth sports can empower kids, strengthen communities, and build leaders. From coaching culture to recreation strategy, and from player development to parent impact, every episode brings game-ready insight from the people making it happen. Youth Sports Mastery goes live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics and powered by DPRS Media Co. This is where purpose meets play.
All right, so that's our latest edition of one of the shows that we're producing, sponsoring, helping put on. We have a family of, I think, 5 shows going on 6. But maybe talk about how, in the early days, the sports programming was like, that was the flagship. So maybe say a little bit about that and how that is today. Has anything kind of changed in that?
I don't think so. I think, I think a lot of the departments, that's still the foundation. I mean,
Mhm.
because everybody doesn't have, 26 employees that are doing, a menagerie of different special events and programs. Their focus is athletics, and their resources are the athletics fields and the gyms that they have. We only have one gym here in Morrisville that is ours, and we share it with the school. So we
Mhm.
only get it in the afternoons and on weekends. So we don't have it during the day. So we can't do those big, fitness
Mhm.
classes and stuff like that during the day. But I think a lot of the foundation of Parks and Recreation is still in the sports realm of things.
Right.
I mean, our sports programs are very, very affluent here.
Yeah. And I know there's, as far as sports, what are the different types? Because I know they have totally Parks and Rec, community run little league. Then you've got these highly competitive travel teams. And then I've got this big facility. Here's a third party that's just going to come and keep it constantly full of people and maybe generating revenue. And then you've got sports tourism, which can be help fund a big facility that the community has access to, but is also an economic driver. Are there anything you want to say on any of those four components? And am I missing one?
No, I think, I think it depends on, the area that you're in. I'll kind of play it as when I was in Southern Pines, we didn't have our own soccer league. So we depended on the local soccer club to run the soccer leagues. We didn't try to compete against them. The only soccer program that we ran was I forget what it's called, Little Tyke Soccer. It was for 4 and 5 year olds, but that was a feeder program into their, year-round soccer program. And then here we have cricket. We have a cricket pitch. We hosted Major League Cricket last year. We host minor league cricket. So that's that tourism, but we don't run cricket. We depend on those outside entities to bring in. I mean, obviously, Major League Cricket, they're coming from all over. Sri Lanka was here last summer practicing. So, which is really cool. Now, internally, we do basketball, we do volleyball, and we do baseball. So if somebody were to come to us and say, hey, we want to come in and run a volleyball league, we're probably going to say no, because we already have that foundation in-house where we know logistically how to run that. And that's what our folks do. So it's depending on the area that you're in, there is a great opportunity to run stuff yourself and to farm it out, if you will, to those who have the more experience. So we do both here.
Yeah. That really is such a big part. And there's so many different ways to carve this up. And I think every community is different. So if you're in programming, what works for one community rarely works for the next.
Yeah.
General themes there, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's dive into just in general, the association, maybe to someone who's not familiar with what an association does and the benefits it has for its, local, for all the cities and departments throughout its state. Maybe just explain to somebody, here's why the association, here's what it does, here's why that's important, and here's how we use it maybe.
To me, the association is a pure resource. It provides so many different resources and ways to get more involved in the field that you're working in. So I've been involved with NCRPA since I started my municipal government. We became a member, or our department was a member of NCRPA. And from there, we used to have regions throughout. I think we had 9 regions, and those have kind of gone away. We're looking at bringing some stuff like that back, but North Carolina is, spread out. So somebody from, let's say, Western North Carolina may not be able to come to a program all the way over here in Raleigh, Morrisville area. So we try to regionally do different things. And we're trying to bring back some of those type of entities. But all in all, just the association is, that's where I've met some of my closest friends, the best colleagues in the nation, in my opinion, some strong leaders across North Carolina. We have, just from when I was the director, we had a very strong directors network. They met once a year. We'd come together for a directors conference, which I could reach out to anybody right now, and that's the resource that NCRPA provides. They are doing a great job. They're doing more and more workshops. They did a special events workshop, I think 2 weeks ago, down in Southern Pines, actually, where I came from. And but just, to capitalize on those different specialties, those people that may not get to go to a state conference, but could go to a $35, $45 workshop. Those are the type of resources that NCRPA provides. And just, carrying out the work of NCRPA. Like I said, I was on a region 4. I was the chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer. I've been on the executive board in the past, and now I'm the upcoming president. And each of those leadership roles has provided me different entities within the association. Like I went to a ribbon cutting for a new park, a new playground not too long ago, and seeing that community come together and seeing this phenomenal playground in a smaller town. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Right. Yeah. And so how often do y'all do the regional stuff? Do y'all try to do something quarterly or monthly? And because I think a lot of people are so focused on the state, the annual state conference, they forget that there's a lot of stuff that goes on outside of that.
We used to do it. I can't say how often we used to do it. They're starting to bring more back. We've got some new staff in the NCRPA office, in the main office now. Some younger whippersnappers that are pulling some new stuff out of their hats. I've been really impressed with that. So as they engage more in, I think both the new staff people have been there less than a year. So as they start to engage more in our state conference, they'll start to make those connections with the leaders and the programmers in the areas. I think we're going to see more and more. And I dare say it's going to be monthly, if not several a quarter. So.
Right. That's good. And then y'all have something unique. Maybe tell everybody about how y'all in South Carolina, what is it, merge every other year or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So every other year, we call it the Carolinas Conference. Us and the state of South Carolina come together for a joint conference, and that's what it's called, the Joint Carolinas Conference. And this upcoming year, it's going to be in Charleston, and it's typically in December. I think it's the first Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in December. It used to be in September or October, and it kind of started running into NRPA, and so they moved it to December. So we'll be heading to Charleston in December, and then next year it'll come back, and it will just be solely a North Carolina conference, and they'll have their South Carolina conference there. The following year, it'll come to North Carolina. So every other, we swap back and forth. So.
Yeah. And so that's the 2025, right? That's this coming December.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Charleston, you're going to be there. You coming?
I know. I want to go. I do. And I want to I want to air this live. I've done 5 conventions so far since I started the show, but we've learned so much more, and our network is so much bigger. So I want to pick a few still this year. So I would love to attend if you can bless it and give permission and stuff, and give me a table in the common area.
Yeah.
I would love to come.
I have a meeting tomorrow.
Yes, let me know, and we'll try to put it on the schedule and make it out there. And we had a blast the last few that we did, and we interviewed like a dozen people. We had some vendors, we had some people that put the event on from the association, and then we had a lot of directors and people that just came on the show, and we had a lot of fun doing it. So hopefully we can pull that off.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So how about NRPA? Are you active in any of their stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I've been a member my whole career, won a couple of awards, mainly just follow their online stuff. I'm a certified parks recreation professional. So that's part of the whole NRPA, getting your CEUs every two or 3 years. You have to get recertified for that. But haven't served on the board or anything in that capacity. It's, I do keep up with national trends and things like that. We get weekly emails. So all that's phenomenal organization.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's really so much. Now, do y'all try to, in some way imitate, see what they do? Because obviously they're a much larger organization. They can kind of pioneer. I'll give you an example. I think they kind of pioneered YPN. And then now we're starting to see other states start their own little local state version of Young Professionals Network. First of all, do y'all have a Young Professionals Network yet, or is it something?
I believe we do. I'm way out of the Young Professionals, but I think they do have something, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you could, if you find out, if you can help me connect to Calling All Young Professionals networks throughout the state, y'all have a
Yeah,
show every Friday. So let's come tell us what you're doing, and
definitely.
I'd love to give you some airtime. Um, but are there
Yeah,
anything else that you see?
I was just going to say, you asked if we emulate anything that NRPA does. One of the things that we're looking at doing, NRPA does a supervisor's management school,
Mm,
and it's a 2-year program. I went through the program several years ago. Phenomenal program, national program up in Wheeling, West Virginia. And we're looking at doing something on a smaller scale because everybody can't afford, the $3,000 to $4,000 that it costs, to go to supervisors management school. So
now
emulating
what is,
something like that on a smaller scale,
mm,
that we're looking at something similar to do here in North Carolina.
what's a super? How do you define supervisor?
Um, Gosh, that's a loaded question. I think you don't have to supervise people, but are you over a programmatic area? Are you a athletic supervisor? Do you oversee an entity of your Parks and Recreation department? I would.
So it's not director school, so separate from that, and it's not like recreational. Maybe define what is it not, and then we'll see what's left over.
There were so many people from so many different when I was in it.
Might have been everything
Um,
but director school.
I don't think anybody could go.
Do they let anybody in here?
They let anybody in, unlike director school.
Right, right, right.
Great resources. So, if you're an up and coming supervisor, a wannabe, I would say go to supervisor management school because the baseline is the resources that you obtain there is going to help you regardless of
Right.
whatever level you're at. I mean, I had been a supervisor for many years before I went to supervisors management school. I was never afforded the opportunity. So, when I was finally afforded the opportunity, I had been a supervisor over a facility, over people, over programs for a number of years.
Yeah.
So I think this one is it's a wide bucket.
Yeah. Now, is that something that is it a moving school, or is it at the same place, same time, same part of the country, or what's going on there?
I want to say that they did move it a couple years ago, but I think it's back in Wheeling. I'm not sure about that. It's at the Ogilvy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a conference center there. That's where a lot of NRPA had done their programs of that nature. That's where I did it, but I think it's back in Ogilvy again. So it's on their website.
Okay. Anything else as far as stuff that y'all kind of emulate when it comes to NRPA, letting them kind of lead the charge of experimentation and then kind of fall back into the state associations?
Yeah, that's the one, that I can think of right now. Our executive director, Michelle Wells, I think I connected you guys. She does a really good job of kind of watching to see what's going on in our NRPA. And, DEI was a big discussion. So we've had discussions on that. So just overall, she does a good job in bringing us information and helps us facilitate which directions we should and shouldn't go.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. So a couple of last questions for you. Number one, what is your personal why, as far as why you have dedicated so much of your life to Parks and Recreation? Why do you do what you do?
I can honestly say that I enjoy coming to work every day. And that is the biggest why, because I think if you ask a lot of people just off the street, do you enjoy going to work? They're going to probably say, it's a paycheck. But I think people in Parks and Recreation, we're not making $1 million, that's for sure, but we're providing quality experiences for the people in our community. And I see what those experiences, do for the people with the smiles on their faces. I can go over to our aquatic and fitness center and seeing those people work out, and they're happy, they're engaged. The after school kids having a great time. I mean, I can name so many different facets of Parks and Recreation, but let's take a banker. We all love our bankers, but it's a mundane job. I mean, come on.
Mhm.
They're just sitting and
Yeah.
counting money all day long. I can't do
Right.
that. So just the variety, that I have, and I think that most parks and recreation professionals have. I mean, I was able to go to a festival a few weekends ago. I'm getting ready to see an opening of our summer camp. Like I said, I've been over to the aquatics center, went to the senior center the other day and saw the smiles. We did a walk for fitness type thing for them. So just, again, those quality experiences that I know that I have just a little piece of, that's my why.
Yeah. Yep. And maybe explain how it's not because it's easy. It's if anything, it's a very challenging job, but maybe talk about how fulfilling the challenges are, because maybe you're making a difference, you're leaving a legacy, you're impacting your community, you're serving the underserved. Is there anything around, that part of it?
I will say when I was in Cary, I mentioned working with the teen population for about 10 years.
Mhm.
And I grew that program from about 100 teenagers by the time I left the program and gave the reins to somebody else. We were about 800, 900 teenagers. And I feel like that I left my legacy on that particular group, the Cary Teen Council, just by the growth and the way that I was able to work with the different communities around, Morrisville being one of them when I was in Cary, ironically enough, and providing those volunteers in the different capacities that we did. And I mean, our teenagers put in over 10,000 volunteer hours every year.
Mm.
And I was the holder of, keeping up with the different programs. Now I had a couple part-time staff that helped too, but all in all, I helped grow that program. So just knowing again that I've made a difference, and I think that every parks and recreation professional in the field, regardless of what they do, are making a difference, and they may or may not know it.
Yeah.
And but just by just small things, so just making a difference.
Yeah, that's always huge to know that it's more than just a paycheck. You do
Yeah.
get paid, you get pretty good benefits, probably some of the best. But there's so many other compensations that you get from just your job having such meaning and impact in your community. So yes,
Absolutely.
definitely great career choice. All right. So we have a little tradition here on the leadership series where you get to answer a question from the last person that we interviewed. And then you have to leave a question for the next person.
Oh
And,
goodness.
and so this is
Was
coming
Chan
from
it was Chan who was your last person?
Chandler
Let's see.
Noble.
Yes, I tried to hire him once upon a time.
Well, he has a question for you.
Okay.
Let's see. His question is, hold on, I want to make sure I get it right. This is great. What song would you use to describe your work ethic?
Staying alive, staying alive. Ah, ah, ah,
Love it.
ah.
That is a great response. And that is such a Parks and Rec response. I think you just answered that question for the whole industry. Okay. All right. So what question do you want to leave for? Let me see who it's going to be. Let's see. It's for Luke Bollinger is going to be who the question's for.
Okay. My question, this is one of my favorite questions.
Mhm.
If you were a piece of playground equipment, what would you want to be?
If you are a piece of playground. All right. And what's your answer to this one? I'm curious.
Mine's a slide because there's a start and there's a finish.
I love it. All right. So if you are a piece of playground equipment, what and why?
Yeah. If you were to become a piece of playground equipment, what would you want to be? Yeah. And why? Yeah.
What would you want to be? Oh, that's a good one. This is like my favorite tradition now for the show. Y'all come
I
up with
love it.
these questions.
I love it.
Like the one before that, I think, let me see, the one before that was, oh, it was like if you were a kitchen appliance, what would you want to be in
That's
one?
something similar. That's a hard one.
Yeah, that was good.
I'm glad I didn't have that one.
Right, right.
I'll have to
Any-
reach out to Chandler and say, hey, I liked your question.
Right. Any closing remarks? Why don't you pitch the industry? Let's say you're talking to a group of college kids that have not chosen a major yet, and you've got like 30 to 60 seconds with them. What do you tell them?
You can't go wrong with Parks and Recreation. More than likely, you're going to go to work every day, enjoy what you do, engage in what you do. It's just a field that you know that you're going to make a difference with someone. The quality and the experiences that you are bringing to your community is hands down the best feeling that you could possibly have. You can't go wrong in Parks and Recreation.
I love it. So y'all probably just picked up another 300 young professionals.
Hopefully.
Well, Cindi, thank you so much for coming on the show today. This has been really fun. And let's try to get that green light to attend the
Absolutely.
Carolinas conference. I would love to bring this show over there and do everything we're doing right now just live from the Carolinas conference in Charleston. What a beautiful city that they picked.
Yes, I can't wait. Yeah,
yeah.
We'll get you there. We'll get you there.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. Have an awesome week on this Monday. I know you probably got nothing planned.
Thank you so much for having me. I so enjoyed it.
Yeah, great time. Good having you on the show, Cindi. Thank you.
Thanks. You have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
All right. So that was Cindi King. She is the incoming president for the North Carolina Parks and Rec Association. And just, she had so much passion and drive around programming. I knew this was going to be a great show for the audience and just for Parks and Rec in general, with regards to programming, because I think a lot of times we just don't take the time to define all the different aspects of one of the roles in Parks and Rec. We keep it kind of vague. So I'm glad she was able to come on and bring a lot of color around the programming part of Parks and Recreation, because I think she's just, one of the masters in that regard. And there's so many things you can find yourself in Parks and Rec that you have mastered. And you cannot master everything in Parks and Rec. There's just too much. The field is just too broad. And so what you find is that some people like Cindi have kind of latched on to one of the many things and just done a really good job with it. So I figured that she could share that with the whole Parks and Rec community. So appreciate you, Cindi, for coming on and telling us your life experiences. And I cannot wait to see you as the president of their state association. This is going to be fun. And we're going to do our best to bring this show to the Carolinas in December to Charleston. First of all, Charleston, who doesn't want to just go spend time over there? It's a gorgeous city. Okay. So we have a lot of stuff planned this week. Tomorrow, all the normal stuff is canceled. We will be at the Louisiana State Capitol airing this show from the session. Our state house is passing laws right now, and Suzanne, who's the executive director of the Louisiana State Park Association, Rec and Park Association, has the rotunda for the day to make sure that we get properly represented and make sure that the legislators are passing laws that favorable laws to the Parks and Rec industry in Louisiana. And this is a part of what the associations do that I don't think is very well understood, or at least it doesn't get a lot of airtime. So I really want to shine a light on all the hard work that our state associations do for the legislative component of what an association does for its state and its all the departments within that state. So we're going to be airing live from there, interviewing a lot of people and trying to, get some boots on the ground. And then we will resume our regularly scheduled shows. We have our maintenance show followed by this type of leadership show on Wednesday and on Thursday. And then Thursday, Aaron Locke has the Youth Sports Mastery. So that's our newest show. And then remember, next Wednesday, first Wednesday of every month, we have our latest podcast that we're helping to produce. And that's going to be Henry County, Georgia. They're going to do a monthly podcast with all the leadership and stakeholders on one podcast. So imagine you've got your director, assistant director, athletic coordinator, the finance person, the head maintenance guy. And we're just going to kind of pull the curtain back. Let's see how an entire department runs. And we're going to do a monthly show. And this is a very well run and I know this might bring out the competitive spirit of Parks and Rec people, but they have an insanely strong why that drives their Parks and Rec department. And I think it's definitely worth sharing. And, so I can't wait for y'all to meet all of them. I've already interviewed, I think, 2, and we're going to try to do a 1-hour interview with each of the people on the podcast, just on this leadership series slot. But then they're going to have their own show. We've already got a logo. We've got a time slot. We've got we're just starting to build out the whole show. So 12 shows a year. That's going to be second Wednesday of every month, which is coming up just here in a few weeks. So hopefully y'all can attend that. And I think that's all I have for y'all today. Thank y'all so much. Again, thank you, Cindi King, for coming on the show today. And we will see y'all at the Louisiana State House tomorrow in the morning. And so just come and hang out with us then. This is Craig LeBlanc signing off. Love you guys. Have an awesome day. Bye.
At DPRS Media Co., we don't just create content. We elevate community through storytelling. Now, we're proud to introduce the newest addition to the family. Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the podcast where champions are shaped, not just on the field, but in life. Hosted by the doorman himself, Craig LeBlanc, and National Academy of Athletics founder Aaron Locke. Youth Sports Mastery dives deep into how youth sports can empower kids, strengthen communities, and build leaders. From coaching culture to recreation strategy, and from player development to parent impact, every episode brings game-ready insight from the people making it happen. Youth Sports Mastery goes live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics and powered by DPRS Media Co. This is where purpose meets play.